there are some big moves happening in the market that have real implications for where the market goes next. But at the same time, the S&P 500 is flat on the day. It's down 0.02% as I'm recording this here on Tuesday, July 28th, 2026. I'm going to get into all that and more. It's also a big earnings week, so let's kind of go through some of this together. Before I begin, I must remind you this is a financial education presentation. You must do your own due diligence before acting on anything you hear in this presentation. More disclaimer information can be found on Ankerstar.com. The opinions expressed are mine alone. There you do have that S&P 500 flat, but you see the NASDAQ, kind of that tech focus group down while the Dow Jones is up. If we go around here, so we've got, again, the 10-year, those bond yields hovering near those recent highs, not cooling a ton at this point. So about 4.6% on the 10-year. Anything below 5% is fine, but inching closer, it does make people feel a bit uncomfortable. Oil continuing to slide here, so feeling really good about the potential for progress in the Middle East. Also, that progress in the Middle East coming right before the Fed meeting tomorrow. So we get a new Fed meeting tomorrow. I think they're actually meeting today, but the news will come out tomorrow about their decision on rates and things. So oil coming down right before the Fed determines what to do with rates is a good thing. You know, if we, hold on. And then on the metals group, giving some back, and then crypto kind of failing to really sustain that strength that we had seen, but still below those recent lows. I'm sorry, but above those recent lows. If we hop around into some news, it is a big earnings day, and you are seeing companies like Visa, Coca-Cola, do very well on the back of those earnings. So there's a lot of stability kind of in that more predictable group of stocks out there. And you are seeing Nvidia green today, so holding steady there. Elsewhere, though, if you look at where we're struggling, we are seeing some continued softness in that data center infrastructure group. SanDisk now down well over 50%. Corning down well over 15% and 19% just today on the back of their earnings report this morning. I'm going to talk more in depth about that in a few minutes. But again, remember that good news is continuing to flow in, right? Meta partnering on a new $14 billion data center. We saw a $250 billion potential deal between Nvidia and OpenAI yesterday, where Nvidia would guarantee OpenAI's financial obligations on that $250 billion in order for OpenAI to get more, to borrow more to fulfill that project. So the good news is continuing to flow in, but the price action on the stocks has diverged meaningfully at this point. If we go look real quick before we get into kind of the meat of this, and let's hop over and look at Corning. I mean, this is a real tough here. If we go on a max chart, you can see the only other time we've seen a massive surge in Corning with the huge pop was in the tech bubble. We've spoken about some of the overlaps between this environment today and back then, right? It was, and we have a really in-depth video about that, with going into this idea of the internet was amazing, just wasn't immediately profitable, right? AI is amazing, maybe it won't immediately be profitable. So there's like this time mismatch between when the infrastructure stocks are profitable versus when the actual technology is profitable. But again, that's in another video we've done at this point a few months ago. And the only time we've seen anything like this from Corning was back then in the .com peak. What I wanted to show you here was, Corning is now down 55%. And something does change when a stock hits that 50% down level. Sometimes you wonder, right? Oh, is this a little by the dip, or is it over? When you see something down 50%, the amount of damage that's been done is really long lasting. You could probably imagine that the average investor in 2026 is now comfortably down on the stock. I mean, meaningfully down on the stock. And when you get like most investors, right, over a 12-month period being down on a stock, it creates a like a psychological headwind. People basically want out of this stock. They didn't buy it for whatever is happening here, especially today, down 19% in a day. This was not why people were in this stock, and they aren't excited about this. So you get this psychological thing where people want out. So now if you get a nice pop, boom, Corning pops 10% tomorrow, new data center deal goes through, there's going to be some people say, you know what? Okay, a 10% pop, I'm taking that, I'm out. And it doesn't matter about any more good news. They're just out. They want out. And they're going to continue to want out because they didn't sign up for whatever is happening here. They signed up for something else. And when you get something down 50%, you know, there's like this tendency to think, okay, yeah, is it a little buy the dip opportunity or is this a stay away? At a 50% drop, you tend to want to more or less start to stay away because everyone in it is having so little fun that when any fun does come, they're going to actually bail. They're going to take that as an opportunity to bail. There's Corning's not the only one. Let's go check this out, actually. Give me just a second. So here's the S&P 500 today. Again, you see Corning. It's, where is Corning? Where did it go? We'll find that in a second, but you do see all the infrastructure stocks down big. Oh, there's Corning down in that electronic components down there. So it's fiber optics. But, you know, you're seeing Oracle obviously taking on all the debt. The computer hardware, SanDisk down from $2,300 to $1,000 a share in 4 weeks. That's a crash, folks. That is a absolute bloodbath for anyone who was trying to mess with that stock. Applied Materials, it goes on and on. Intel down close to 50% now. Micron down like 35%. Oh, here's the actual drawdown chart. So we're going to switch. This is just today. And I'm going to come back to this in a second because we have another problem starting. Here's your drawdowns. So again, as you approach that 50% drawdown, you're leaving the buy the dip opportunity and you're approaching more of a people are now getting hurt to the point where they just want out and they're going to take any strength as an opportunity to get out. So the idea of quickly rebounding back to new highs, it becomes less and less likely as the pain gets worse and worse for the folks who are already in this. Maybe you know someone in this stuff. Maybe you've been exposed to this. I mean, everybody is to an extent, but I mean like overexposed. Somebody who really went heavy into it, you know they probably want out of it. So these drawdowns are getting really deep at this point in the infrastructure. When I say infrastructure, I mean all the stuff that goes into building those data centers. I don't mean the Apple, the Google, the Amazon, the Meta. I don't mean the people kind of paying for it. I mean the companies actually making hardware type stuff that builds this stuff out. You know, Google, Meta, Amazon, they don't make any of that stuff. Okay, let's keep going here. I did want to show you. So there's some good news here too. There's good and bad. Let's do the bad news first. The bad news is that we have now seen some of these other stocks benefit so much that it's becoming a problem. So, you know, I'll tell you here, like, if you go check out healthcare has ripped so much. Healthcare hit a new all-time high today. I don't think, you know, you're not safe over there anymore. If you go company by company and see what you're paying for every dollar of earnings and dollar of revenue there, you're not safe. Those stocks are trading too expensive. Not all of them. I mean, you could argue about a UNH or Elevance, or you could argue that an Abbott, depending on how that acquisition goes, you could argue that some of those are still in a value range, but the drug manufacturers, I'm not seeing any value there. And that's kind of the bulk of the group. Of course, if everybody gets on 5 peptides each, then fair enough. That group could continue on. But just as it sits now, there's not value there. Walmart, Costco, I don't know that there's value there. Coke, there's not value there. I will say Pepsi a few days ago was trading at its like some of its lowest valuation metrics relative to itself in its history, going back to the great financial crisis. But that's just one here. Coke is not trading cheap. And they owe me because I do drink a lot of Coke Zero these days. So they do owe me. These are their good earnings, up 7% today. Really unbelievable. Energy, the whole world wants energy down. Utilities aren't cheap. Real estate hit an all-time high like this past week, or if not today. A lot of those stocks aren't cheap. And if rates are going higher, that's not good. Industrials, I know some of these look like, oh, they're getting hit. Trust me, Caterpillar is still really elevated. 3M had a 52-week high today. These stocks are not cheap. Raytheon, that thing trades very expensive. For every dollar of earnings or every dollar of sales, you're paying a lot for that. Train, you're paying a lot for that company. Railroads are unbelievably expensive here. So this is the other problem, right? Is that some of these other sectors have gotten very expensive, and those investors have done very well, but they've gotten very expensive here. GM's not cheap. All the way over here, I'm looking at consumer discretionary. So if these stocks over here are getting more and more expensive, like too expensive, and at the same time, some of these SanDisk, Corning, Intel, these are breaking down 50%, where we know at a 50% level, they're probably not going to snap back. If the other stuff's getting too expensive and the stuff that's been leading the market is not going to snap back, even though it is down a lot, it's not going to snap back. You have a problem where who's going to drive this thing higher? Maybe the Mag 7, but Apple's hit a 52-week high. Nvidia is still close to all-time highs. And Tesla seems to really be not producing the profits that they've promised investors for so long. I don't know. Maybe Google, Meta, and Amazon can do it, but it's going to be hard for them to do it on their own to drag the market higher. So this is a new problem where this is brand new, really, as of today. If we go look a little, I wanted to show you this. We had seen where the NASDAQ 100, I think like 13 or 12 of the top 20 companies had become that infrastructure. Let's go top 20 and see how many are infrastructure now that some of these have gotten absolutely smoked. Nvidia, that's 1, 2. 2 is Broadcom, 3 Micron, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you're still 9 of the top 20 in the NASDAQ are AI infrastructure, which if those stocks aren't going to come back and the party's over, that's going to be a bit of a problem here for the NASDAQ still. If you go to the S&P 500, these are the top 20 in the S&P 500. Let's see how many of these are AI infrastructure. 1, Nvidia, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, because I think we had gotten up to 9 or 10. So some of them have really fallen off. If we're down to 5 of the top 20 in the S&P 500 are AI infrastructure, that helps a lot. That helps a lot. And even if you think the S&P 500 is, what is it, 65, 70 trillion in value, and AMD is sitting at half a trillion, 453 billion, that's not dangerous to the index. Even if you get a full 75% drawdown like we've seen in the past with semiconductor type companies. So this is healthy for the S&P 500. The problem is things like a JP Morgan have gotten really expensive, and a Johnson & Johnson has gotten really expensive, and an AbbVie. Visa could be worse, but even in a Eli Lilly. So it's almost like we had one problem where we were way too exposed to AI infrastructure, And we still have quite a bit of exposure, especially on the NASDAQ side. But on the S&P 500 side, it's like we've replaced one richly valued group maybe with multiple other richly valued groups. Could be a little bit of an issue, but again, we kind of expected some rotation, right? We had seen record flows into technology stocks, as was highlighted by Todd Sohn through Strategic Research. And this was a chart we highlighted a month or so ago on the show. And then, you saw very little inflows into anything cyclical and defensive, or those other economically cyclical. That should be, mostly the defensive groups, where we had seen a lot of companies flying really far under the radar. And then if you looked at just semiconductors, we had trading activity in that group that did seem to verge on bubbly behavior, right? Bubbly activity. And so we highlighted this on the show a few weeks back as well. Some of this was expected. You never know when, you never know how deep. Obviously, the people in this are trading, and they've probably gotten out quick. I mean, people are getting out very quickly right now. Okay, after the bell today, we do get those Visa earnings. Here's an interest. You want to know what to watch? Watch KLA Corp and Seagate. Those are two companies right in the middle of the AI infrastructure, story. Their stocks have been hurt. I don't know that either are down 50% though. So watch after hours today to see what happens to those. That could be a tell for whether or not the AI infrastructure trade has the weakness is kind of subsiding, or if we're still getting hit lower every single day, because then tomorrow if those get hit again after hours today, that could be another bloody day tomorrow. That's all the market will have to trade on tomorrow from the AI infrastructure side of things. And Corning did not help this morning, down 20% on the day. Wow, what a day. All that, and the S&P 500 is super flat. Crazy. Hey, thanks for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful day. Look forward to talking to you soon.